Welcome to All Pro Football Data. My name is Jim Coburn, and today's episode we're going to be talking about Kamari Lassiter, cornerback out of Georgia, based on his production data and other statistical factors. Kamari Lassiter was second team All SEC in 2023, and he's a very intriguing cornerback prospect according to a lot of different people. But what does he look like based on data? So that's what we're going to be looking at today. Looking at his data in terms of defensive market share. So if you're new to the channel, new to the stuff that I do, pause the video real quick to kind of check out the market share data here. But this is how I grade cornerbacks, is using defensive market share data. And based on that data, this is how Lassiter tested. He had a 50 percentile solo tackle score, a 12 percentile interception score, and a 66 percentile pass deflection score. So he had a very, very low interception score with an average solo tackle score and a above average pass deflection score. This could be because he was mainly playing man. Again, this is speculation because I have not seen his film yet. Mainly just looked at him in terms of data. But man corners typically do not produce as well in terms of these particular metrics because they don't get as many opportunities to get interceptions as, say, a zone corner would. They don't get as many opportunities to do anything except maybe make plays on the football in terms of pass deflections, when they're covering wide receivers. So that's the biggest thing. But it's still a very low interception score, and average solo tackle data is just kind of, it's not the best place you want to be, I would say. Now, in terms of adjusted production scores, adjusted production takes a look at the level of competition, what team did they play on, how productive they were for their age. It's just the context of it in terms of their production. And based on his context production, he did a little bit better. Has a very good age score. He's in the 90 plus percentile in terms of his age, but his pass score is probably closer to, say, the 70 to 80, probably 70 percentile in terms of that particular metric for him. So again, this is out of 1,980 cornerbacks, the 1989 NFL draft class. So his age is really helping him out a lot in terms of his production data. In terms of comparisons for him, these are all the cornerbacks that tested really similar to Lassiter based on his production data. So you're looking at guys like Riley Moss, Nick Nelson, Caesar Williams, Cordell Float, Andrew Booth Jr., Deron Bland, Ellie Green the fourth, DeAndre Jones, and then Bryce McCain. These are all the cornerbacks that tested very similar to him based on their production data. Not a lot of starters here. Deron Bland is there, of course, but Bland is a bit of a outlier, I would say. Even though he did have an All-Pro consideration last year, he did have crazy length. He had very good length for the position and other sort of stuff like that. He fits the physical traits of an elite cornerback. But at the same time, I think we still need to let him play out a little bit more because we just need to kind of wait and see. Cornerbacks have very short lives. And in terms of like their futures, usually you kind of have to get a sample of data before you kind of make a decision on them. But anyways, in terms of outlook for Lassiter, Lassiter profiles as a backup to starter long term. The biggest weakness in his profile comes down to his interception production. Most cornerbacks who break out with this data profile are considered outliers. So again, most cornerbacks who produce like this and become starting NFL players or like elite players are outliers. They're players that are outside of what normally happens at the position. There's less than a 5% chance that they go on to become a special player, essentially. Now, Lassiter does need to have a strong combine to be considered a day 2 to 3 selection. If he doesn't have a strong combine, I would not really view him that high. I think if he does test well, I think you should kind of bump him up a little bit. But to me, he's kind of more in that mid-range in terms of cornerbacks based on his production profile. I've seen some people put him in the first round. I think that's a little too rich. Again, you need to wait on some things before you make that decision. But that's ultimately how he profiles as a prospect. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Jim Coburn, also known as Geometrics. Check out my other work at on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Geometrics. Also check out my Patreon page, patreon.com/jcoburn. Like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Do that. It really helps the channel out a lot. Share this video everywhere you can to get more exposure to it. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.